the thing is, when you're learning German, sometimes there comes a time when you are just so focused on learning the vocabulary all the time and learning the grammar all the time. You're just like doing these grammar practices, but you then end up completely forgetting the real life situations, right? Like what are going to be the words, what are going to be the collection of phrases, what are going to be the answers, what are going to be the questions that you'll be asking when you are in a situation when you're speaking with somebody, right? So it is very important to also improve your spoken German. And of course, many of you do not have a native German sitting right next to you, right? That is not the scenario. And also when you like end up practicing with each other, it's generally with broken German. So I do not really recommend that you kind of settle for whatever is available to you, right? I think you should have the right resources. I think you should have the right information, right material available to you so that you're able to work on these things on your own. So this is the reason we built these conversations. And now we really went ahead and we were not giving you like, 10, 20 conversations. We made 111 conversations. And these 111 conversations, of course, as you can imagine, it took a lot of time and it took a lot of also like effort to kind of structure what kind of scenarios make sense to put inside, what kind of scenarios will be fun, what kind of scenarios will be a little bit broader, which kind of also encompass different kind of things. So that's why like we put this together, these 100+ daily German conversations, so that these are like natural dialogues and it helps you improve your spoken German from home itself. And I think this is a real must, like material that you need to have in your learning scenario. Because for example, when I was learning Russian, for me, these kind of things were also helpful. I also found some books about the daily Russian conversations and things like that. And these were like really, really helpful. And of course, I'm telling you this as somebody who was once a German beginner, was then able to like, finish his studies in a German taught master's program with C2 level proficiency. And then also as somebody who was also a complete beginner with Russian. And now I was able to reach the level A2 in around 3 or 4 months. Russian is a pretty complicated language. So the timeline that you see for learning Russian is completely different than for German. But like these kind of things were really helpful. I can show you some kind of examples now because these 3 lessons are anyways for preview and you can take a look at that. This also gives you an idea of what exactly should you expect from the course, right? So this is about completing a university assignment at the last minute. Of course, many of us have been in that scenario. So we decided, because even in Germany, sometimes like you're like, oh, okay, you are kind of pushing to the last stage, and this does not mean like, just like last minute, but like, yeah, you just pushed it to the very end. So a conversation about that, like what should we do? You're speaking with a friend, okay, like what should we get to the library, things like that. All of these things are like actually pretty helpful. Then afterwards, you're binging Netflix with somebody. So this is the conversation which kind of trains you to give recommendations and take recommendations and how to respond to that, right? Because the reason I'm telling you this is because it is very, very difficult when you're like just doing your standard, like, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, whatever. And then you are like never really focusing on the conversation at all. You're just listening, you're just like, consuming stuff, but you never train yourself to like also produce things. So producing things are always writing and speaking, right? But in speaking, when you're already prepared, when you already know what kind of like sentence structures are used, what kind of like are the common questions that somebody can ask, this makes your life so much more easier. Because just when you're giving recommendations right now for like watching a Netflix series and like agreeing on something and like, nah, I don't like this, I don't like this one, I don't like this one, what you're saying, but this could be something interesting. The same kind of idea you'll be getting. I mean, this conversation is very interesting. You should definitely read it. Like the same kind of idea you can give in different places. You can say, all right, maybe I don't want to travel to this place. Maybe I don't like this chair. Maybe I don't like this table. I don't want to buy this one. Can you give me some more recommendations? And the same kind of flow starts. So you have to see these conversations and not just like these conversations itself, but also something broader, as in like what kind of other situations can you apply the same thing over? And I promise you one thing, like if you go through these 111 conversations, like the vast majority of your day-to-day conversations are already covered. So this is very, very relevant and nice for people who are living in Germany, who are planning to come to Germany, who are learning German right now seriously, but want to have additional material which covers everything. So this is helpful for all of that. So this is now available for you on Big Academy, and a collection of 111 different kind of conversations. And depending on what kind of response we get, we will also be happy to bring out the next volumes, the audio upgrades, translations, things like that. But we are kind of showing you right now how exactly it is done in the most scenarios, so that you're actually using your brain, right? If I would just give you the English translation right under it, what happens is, which is what we did in the stories. I mean, stories is nice because you need to kind of like also get used to the scenario and things like that. But here, if you don't understand the word and I just give you the translation right away, what happens is your brain kind of like stops working there and it just sees the translation right away. And then, okay, like, you know, now I know. But what you can always do is like you can use a dictionary. When you use a dictionary, your brain is actually being stressed and you remember these conversations much better. So do that, and I will leave the link for this in the below this video, and also the link for PayPal. Like if you are not able to enroll with the credit card or debit cards, I will also leave that directly below the video.